welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today we're taking a look at a Bant Nissa Who Shakes the World deck. So, Nissa Who Shakes the World is an exciting new planeswalker, 5 mana, 5 loyalty. Whenever you tap a forest for mana, add an additional green. So, any forest, it doesn't have to be a basic forest. That includes cards like Temple Garden and Breeding Pool, which say forest in them. And then +1, put 3 +1/+1 counters on a land. It becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with vigilance and haste that's still land. Not till end of turn. So if you're used to Nissa Vital Force or other effects that create a land creature till end of turn, this is permanent. -8, you get an emblem with lands you control have indestructible. Search your library for any number of forest cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. So this card is an interesting one. It's hard to exactly tell where it fits into the format when you read it, but when you play with it, the experience can often be quite different. And what do we do with a whole bunch of mana that Nissa Who Shakes the World makes? Well, this deck has a couple of options. Shalai, Voice of Plenty, and Hydroid Krasis come to mind. Deck credit goes to True Dawn FM. True Dawn is a Twitch streamer and a really cool guy that I got to meet in person in PAX. And also just to give you a heads up on what's going on with the channel. So, many of you know that we did the War of Spark release, and then I had to be gone for the weekend, so I recorded a bunch of videos on Thursday, and they were really fast, quick take brews. And they all probably need some refinement, for sure. Thank you for all the comments telling me things that I could do to improve those decks. In this case, I'm back, but my editor is about to go on vacation, which means I have to spend another day, in this case Monday is the time I'm recording this, cranking out about 4 or 5 videos so the editor can finish them before going on vacation so your video schedule is not interrupted. This was not something I foresaw, and I'm a bit kind of like, it's a perfect storm because I haven't had time to actually brew and play many decks. I haven't had time to do a lot of research for myself, so I'm going to lean on some of the innovation of others. My friends in the Twitch and YouTube community, grab some of their decks and play them for a few days. That is why you will see a number of videos from decks brewed by other creators, whereas my own brews and builds are going to be coming up in the future. So thank you for bearing with me. Hopefully, thankfully, actually, there's no shortage of amazing brews and brewers out there. And to show proper appreciation for their content, I'll be giving them shout outs in the video, of course, and check descriptions for links to their content. True Dawn FM, highly recommended. Guy makes pretty amazing videos. In this case, he made this before we even, or something at least like it, before we even played in the Twitch pre-release event, because he kicked my butt in that event with Nissa Who Shakes the World. In fact, Nissa needs to run this. Sorry, Ajani, take a break. I don't think his version was often mono green. This must be a different version that he's playing today, but I'm excited to try it because I like the idea of Nissa Who Shakes the World Hydroid Krasis. That's most of what I want to do. Other new cards include Evolution Sage, which whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you proliferate, putting extra +1/+1 counters on things. Hence, we have Evolving Wilds over here to make proliferation happen. Then we've got the Arboreal Grazer, which 1 mana, 0/3, reach, Wall of Wood stats. But when it enters the battlefield, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. This card might be better than any of us give it credit for. Another good way to slow people down while ramping yourself. And an interesting little brew piece that has shown up early in the format. There's also Johnny the Great-Hearted, giving your creatures vigilance, probably not the big deal, but gaining some life and putting counters on our creatures so that the proliferate is even stronger. I think that's the point of the Great-Hearted, as well as bridging the gap to give you time and life to survive when you play your Nissa. All right, enough talky about the deck. Let's go play the deck. Oh yeah, we've also got this sideboard over here. It's got 2 Disdainful Strokes, 3 Negates, 3 Growth Chamber Guardians, 3 Teferi the Time Raveler, 2 Knight of Autumn, 2 Tulsimir Friend of Wolves. I have no idea what's going on with the sideboard. So as I enter into games, I'll basically be looking at the matchup I'm in, and I'll be trying to say, this is probably what Trudon added this card for. This is probably what he added that card for, and trying to go from there. So bear with me. Let's go see what happens with this Bant Nissa in best of 3 ranked. Well, that was special. I said I was going to do best of 3, and I queued into best of 1 by habit. So we've got at least a best of 1 game to play first. Let's... do we go get the island when we have a Nissa here that's shaking up the world? We can also save this to proliferate with the Evolution Sage, which is probably better. So let's play the tap land. We might be able to set up something like turn 4, Evolution Sage, Evolving Wilds, proliferate. Well, that's a bit... It's already looking a bit unfortunate so far. Yeah, make the opponent deal with all of them. It's got to be the most important card in the deck. Throwing it in the graveyard can't be that good. Can't be a good thing. It looks like we're up against some kind of an Esper control, so I'm ready for a Thought Erasure to take this one anyway. But there will not be a Thought Erasure. Interesting. Alright. Real question here is there a Cry of the frickin' Carnarium? And I think it's more likely that our opponent will have Absorb next turn than a Cry. Although when you keep a hand that's tap land, often Cry is a good reason to. So I should probably be reading as Cry is coming. The thing is, if they just play a land and say go, Absorb is so good. I guess I play the Sage into it and then go Nissa, and I guess that's better. So, okay, we will pass here. I think there's a good chance the opponent's just sitting on a Cry. I think there's also a good chance they'll spend next turn on Counter Magic. And if they're that kind of a deck with... Well, Opt often means Acuity, right? Dovin's Acuity. So putting a bunch of damage on the battlefield can be very good for that. Alright, they pass the turn. Do we go for the Evolution Sage? Yeah, I think we do. If it gets countered, it means Nissa is going to be harder to counter later. And that's really what we need. Moment of Craving. Alrighty. Well, you're no fun. I guess I will be doing a super sad Proliferate when I play this Evolving Wilds, but I do need to make sure I have the mana for the Nissa next turn. Okay. Opponent is all over this. Let's keep getting green sources here. More force the better. And it does look like the Dovin's Acuity style deck. But do they also run Absorb? It's time to find out. Yep, there's an Absorb. I'll be bringing another one though. We'll see how great the opponent's hand is. So far it's been perfect. Flawless in every way. And against those hands with control, it doesn't feel like you're ever really playing the game, but it's all part of the control experience. Alright. So that produces double green, then we'll plus it. Target a land here to untap.
Be wary of the ground you walk on.
Now, we can play the Branch Walker and then decide whether or not to play the Grazer as well. I think attacking with the other forest is probably a better move. This plays around Quench by having 2 mana available, makes Syncopate harder. Those things probably aren't in the deck, but it's worth thinking about. Okay, there is another land, so we could drop the Grazer and get another land on the battlefield. I don't think that's worth it, though. I think the damage is better. So yeah, let's go in for damage. Opponent taking it easy. If they're just sitting on Vraska's Contempt until end step, that's annoying, but certainly their option. Mission briefing. Huh? I mean, it's not the best right here. It's a Moment of Craving or an Opt. Opponent does seem to be keeping a card on top. Maybe they did find their Vraska's Contempt. If that is the case, we're going to need some of those Hydroid Krasis. We are a world in crisis of lack of crisis. We need to rebuild and keep our board presence strong. One card really does that well. It's Hydroid Crisis. And the opponent kept, so they should have a plot for the turn. But it also implies that they draw something very well. Is it Mastermind's Acquisition? Okay. Well, they can go get a Sorcerer's Spyglass to shut Nissa off, sort of. But it doesn't shut off the static ability. Okay, they're passing. Wow. They could be plotting to Wrath me. Let's go ahead and get Shalai down. This is going to make a lot of +1/+1 counters. Opponent holding priority here could be what? Moment of Craving, Nightmare's Thirst are the things we've seen so far. And it does look like we're going to crave something. I'm not too upset about that. So we can play the Grazer. Resolve that ability, plus the Nissa, make another land.
The land fights for us.
Activate this. We'll end up tapping one of the lands, but I think that's okay. And, oh yeah, we didn't have to tap the land. That ability always gets me a little bit, but now we get to pound away on the opponent. They need a Wrath. And if they have a Wrath, they're not dealing with the Nissa. Alright, there's a Kaya's Wrath. They took care of that. And they're targeting Nissa with what? The Elder Spell. Oh no, that's what they fetched? That's so brutal. We tried so hard and got so far, but in the end we only drew more mana. I know. I shouldn't be singing. You don't have to tell me. And a Lyra, wow. Alright. Still feel like I could top deck Hydroid Crisis and something would happen in this game. But, yeah. Opponent obviously put it all together just fine. The Johnny. Alright. Well. The Johnny, a neat combo with Paradise Druid because it stays hexproof and gets to attack. And putting it out there might buy us more time against this Lyra.
Pain is strong, but my resolve is strong.
Evolution Sage. If I'd held the Evolving Wilds, I wouldn't have drawn the way I drew, so I can't be too upset about that. And I don't have anything to really proliferate onto. Well, I guess I could minus... No, I can't even minus the Ajani. Too weak.
Now do you see the benefits of peace?
Alright. Well, I'm going to play into my opponent's board. 1, to test for counterspells, and 2, because if they Wrath, they lose their Lyra. Which is kind of an odd main deck inclusion. I'm pretty sure that Mastermind's Acquisition fetched the Elder Spell. I don't think I'd fetch Lyra, but who knows? Who knows what madness. That must be nice. That must be nice. And another Mastermind's Acquisition. Yeah. I feel like this one's going to be a hard game to win. What do you guys think? It's probably very scoop worthy at this stage. Okay. Kind of the card I needed. Let's hold back the Bastion. Surprise our opponent with it. Nice how we got 2 lands off the top. Sadness. Alright, what's the big powerful card you fetched with Acquisition? Yep, that's what I fetch whenever I'm not sure. The Mirari Conjecture. Just do it again. And an Absorb is probably a great choice. Alright. Let's proliferate. 3 straight lands off the top is not ideal, but we can get this Crisis big enough to tangle with the Lyra. Even then, though, our opponent's going to double Conjecture next turn, or double Mastermind, so I don't think we can possibly win. All we could do is play it out to see how the opponent wins. That's not worth it to me, and it's not worth your time, I don't think, so I'll see you in the next game. I remember to queue into best of 3 this time. Good news. We'll also keep this hand. Maybe Paradise Druid can help us cast the things we need to cast. And let's rock and roll. Our opponent with a mulligan to 6. A quick scry, and now we're off to the races with Overgrown Tomb into Llanowar Elves. Good old Golgari, probably. Let's go for the Paradise Druid on turn 2. If we draw a land off the top, going straight to Shalai could be really helpful. And then to Nissa, possibly after that. Our opponent on the double elf start, threatening a very early Vivian read, is absolutely terrifying. Playing around it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We drew a land, but it's an Evolving Wilds. So I'm going to play the Branchwalker first. With more lands in the deck, I'm more likely to hit one, and we did, but I have nothing else to do with my mana this turn, so we'll play the Evolving Wilds. And we'll do the super spiky thing of sacking it on our opponent's turn so that they don't know what other color we play. Jade Light Ranger with Wildgrowth Walker. Match made in heaven. Alright, 2 land. At least that keeps the Jade Light Ranger small. Now the opponent can slam away with their Wildgrowth if they like, but their Llanowar Elves don't appear to be attacking. And they haven't done anything for mana yet. So the Llanowar Elves, it's kind of giving away that their hand may not be very good. It's 2 lands, 2 cards that they can't play for 2 mana, and they couldn't play them for 5 mana. Maybe there's a Dreadhorde General is probably my worst case scenario now. Let's go get the basic island. Just in case something bad happens to our Druid. Another Crassus off the top is pretty amazing. And then I think I run Nissa out there. Well, I guess I could play Shalai first. Yeah, Shalai to protect the Nissa for a turn, so I'm more likely to untap with it and get to play Giant Crassi. Sounds wonderful. So there you go. And we'll see if our opponent's got Chupacabra ready to go. If it eats a Vraska's Contempt, though, we can be glad that it didn't take out Nissa, who shakes the world. Still reading Shalai. Yeah, in the tank. So Hydroid Crassus is another card that would make a lot of sense to be in our opponent's hand at this stage. It would make their hand more keepable. It's something they wouldn't want to play early. Dreadhorde General's now off the table, or they would have slammed it, and they said go. Kind of weird. Let's shake the frickin' world.
I will protect the virtue of this world.
It's tempting to make like the island a 3/3 so I have more mana available, but then if something happens to my Druid and the island, some kind of sweeper. Probably overthinking it, but that's what I do. I'm freaking overthinking it master. Your go. If we get to untap with that Nissa though, Mega Crassus time. Living our best life. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 power Crassus off 4 land is the potential we're looking at. Actually more than that, because we'll untap a land with Nissa. So we'll double mana first. And remember, we have Shalai here to protect, so the opponent's going to have a hard time dealing with this. They're going in for a finality. Okay. That won't kill the Nissa, though. Hey, I did talk about playing around a sweeper, didn't I?
Do not underestimate my fortitude.
Do not underestimate my fortitude. Alright. Add mana to mana pool. Untap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could also go for 6 and play the Grazer, which I actually think makes sense, because I'm going to want a blocker for that Wildgrowth Walker if the opponent has 1 source of removal for the Crassus. Should leave 1 mana in the mana pool. There's some stuff. We can play the Grazer here. Enter, let's see, enters the battlefield, you put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. It kind of sucks to put in Evolving Wilds onto the battlefield tapped, but I'm still going to do it so I can play a Paradise Druid this turn. And have more mana available for my Crassus next turn. And here we go. Ride the Nissa Lightning. Let's shake the frickin' world. We can also just turn this into a 3/3. But then you don't get the untap ability and the way to make mana and all that stuff. The opponent might be able to contempt the Nissa now. I mean, they got rid of the Shalai. It would make our Crassus creatures much less threatening. Alright, they're reading all those new cards. Maybe they haven't had many chances to play. Maybe they played the new set about as much as I have. Minus the streamer event where I put in like 16 hours. And it's Liliana. Well, one of the cards we feared and sort of predicted. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. I choose you and you. It's kind of weird.
They were a lousy servant anyway.
And I don't know if the opponent knew that the Liliana would kill their own creatures, but there we go. All right, it happened. So Disdainful Stroke is a good card against the Sultai deck. Time Raveler, not so much, I don't think. And Night of Autumn, I don't think so. Tulsimer, I don't think so. This seems like the kind of mid-range-ish matchup you're looking for. So this doesn't seem too bad. I don't know what Vivian shoots down. I guess a Crassus can be very good. I don't know if I need a Johnny. The life gain probably isn't very relevant in this matchup. I think I can go over the top without a Johnny. I know that the Proliferate is also a big part of it, and we haven't seen the Evolution Sage and its proliferating do too much so far. It also seems to encourage me to play into Wraths, which I don't really like. So maybe it's better to have like Growth Chamber Guardian or something of that nature in this matchup. Our opponent seems to really like their Finality. Planeswalkers are a little bit better in that case. And they have big Liliana. Maybe Negate's better. Maybe Night of Autumn. I don't know. It's pretty tough. I do also want to try the Friend to Wolves, but I think that these are in the right spot. I'm just going to trim the Evolution Sage, I think. Let's do it like this. Let's trim 1 Evolution Sage, 1 Ajani. Those are the cards I'm most skeptical of. Okay, pretty much mono green, but it's certainly potentially fast with Grazer into Jadelight into, not sure, but Nissa hanging out. Our opponent had Llanowar Elves on turn 1 last game. Why would this game be any different? Let's see if they have a pair of Llanowar Elves again. Grazing. Just getting me those sweet lands. The opponent says, look at me, I can Jadelight Ranger. Uh-huh. I can do that. I could also play this Grazer and take a chance that next turn I top deck a land for Nissa, but I think my own Ranger is the right play. Ooh, would have had it. Definitely would have had it. Look at the mana. Look at the lands. Just pouring in. Yep. Easy blocks. We got a Branchy. Yay, it hit a land. That means that my Grazer can block it. We have another Branchy. Did not hit a land. Hit a freaking Carnage Tyrant. Good for you, bro. Alright. Let's graze. Drop this Temple Garden. Tapped. And this land. And get set up for Nissa. We're not going to block much with our Grazers this turn. I mean, I'll block the 2-1. Or the 1-1, of course, but not the 3-2, because we want these around to protect our World Shaker. Alright, we're also going to protect the Bastion. We don't want to play that right away. So, time to see the Vraska's Contempt. I've got a bad feeling about this, much like a Han Solo type thing.
The land shall conquer you.
Alright. Resolved. The opponent going in for a cast down. Well, I can't do anything with the mana here, so I have to let that die. Unfortunate, but true. No attacks. Here's Carney T. We're gonna have to go pretty big to get around it. Here's some attacks. Defend the Nissa. She's our only hope. Another Grazer. I could put the Bastion down tapped. I don't know about that though. Well, let's start with making mana and making big critters.
Harness the elements.
I don't want to put the Bastion down tapped. I want to proliferate with it. Make this bigger. The opponent probably won't see that trick coming. It's been one that catches some people off guard. I could have untapped this and proliferated twice, but then it would be the creature, and then it would have 5 power, and I don't think that would particularly be better. So what about playing another Nissa? This one's on 7. I could play another one, make another creature, or I could proliferate twice here, right? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ugh, it's close, right? Plus, then if this dies, I'm out. I'm just out. But I still think I go for it. Like, I want to do the crazy. Let's do the crazy.
Seek shelter in my stewardship.
Hold on. Let's see. Didn't want to do that yet. Proliferate first? Is that how this works? No. So plus, make you into a thingy. Now proliferate? I think that's how that works. Submit 3. And these have vigilance, but I don't really want to attack into this, so no attacks. Okay. Sorry. New cards, figuring my stuff out. It's a little complicated. I also thought, like, do I want to untap this and do it twice? But I didn't quite have the mana to do that. And if I did, but I would have had to leave these lands tapped, which isn't good. Not really what I'm going for. I hope we don't draw a Crassus and have no blue mana. That'd break my heart. Oh boy, here they come. So I like some of these blocks. It's weird. So like Carnage Tyrant can absorb a good amount. Like I could just throw the Grazers under this particular bus and take 2. Another thing that could go wrong here is Finality, but I can't get out of that range anyway, so I can block these to kill it. The opponent's been trading. It does make sense that they would have a Finality. They do have the 6 mana, but I think they would have done that pre-combat. So let's just use the blocks we have. Also, blocking the Tyrant twice is another play that's interesting, but if the opponent has a cast down that gets blown up, which I really hate, and they've definitely shown that they play multiple cast downs, so let's take this block. All right. Keep pumping them up.
The land fights for us.
Play the Paradise Druid. Next, let's send the critters. It's a lot of damage. And the opponent says they'll take it. Let's proliferate. Submit. Down to 2. Ouchie. And the opponent just scoops it up. Oh my goodness. I don't think they expected the amount of power and toughness to come out of Nissa. I hope you enjoyed this look at Nissa Shaker of Worlds, and I hope you'll check out True Dawn FM on Twitch. I'll try to put a link in description or comments, and I'll definitely at him on Twitter if you follow the deck list link. This deck is very fun, and Nissa is a very explosive card, and there's probably a real decent shell in there somewhere. I don't know if we've quite found the exact list, but Trudon's put a lot more work into it than I could have at this point, and he's getting there. You can tell that there's a lot of fun stuff happening. So I hope you try out Nissa, Shaker of Worlds. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment. You can also support the channel on Patreon for special perks. Links are in the description. Our sponsors are HauntedFlower.com and FlipsideGaming.com. Haunted Flower sells officially licensed MTG apparel and accessories, and Flipside Gaming sells MTG cards and supplies. You can save 10% on either site with the promo code CGB, and it supports the channel at the same time. See you next time for another day in the arena. For now, it's me, it's CGB, signing out.